They are not paid. It is a national obligation for them to work on polling day and be polling officials. In some countries also it happens. Some of them take it as a sense of pride that I'm contributing to democracy in my country. But in Uganda, the spirit of volunteerism. Alright, you went to where? I'll give you an example. One time when I was still a resident judge in Lira, I was doing some small construction of my village home. So I communicated to the man to carry me some materials, sand and so on. He called back. I said, I can't access your home. I said, why? There is a tree that has fallen across the road through your village. Can the people remove it? They are there. I don't see them. So I called one of my nephews. Said, Magezi, what's happening? I'm told there is a tree that has fallen across the road. Said, yes. You mean you people, can't you remove it? Go, but you know our people here. They are not bothered. Said, hey, so what do we do? Said, we need a person with a power saw to come and cut it in pieces, then we remove it. Get the person. How much does it cost? So much. Mobile money had already come. I sent the money. The people were not bothered. Because I wanted this truck to pass and deliver the sand to my site. Can you imagine? The people were not bothered about a tree that has fallen across the road. Government tuyambe, tusaba government omutego gudde mu kkubo lyaffe. We want government to help us. The tree has fallen. Really? So in Uganda we pay all our election officials. We must pay them. On polling day, we've been paying, I think, 50,000. They say that is too little. And secondly, they say some of these actors who have bad intentions, they influence them to do things that are not right. We said maybe we increase the package to maybe 100,000. Maybe that will kill the temptations, the appetite for. We don't know. What is your contribution to the Uganda you want? What is my contribution to the Uganda we want? That should always be the critical question for each citizen of this land. What is my contribution? So, we are required to promote democracy and the rule of law by being law-abiding. For instance, we have told actors in these political processes, please, the door is now open for you also to come and play your role. But do it in this manner. When you are going to carry out campaigns, which you are entitled to do, go to a designated venue agreed upon with the security agencies so that they secure that area, the venue. Secondly, be mindful of other road users through the roads to go to that venue. Be mindful of other road users. Recognize and respect their rights as well. So, do not hold public processions along those roads. Let the road be free for other people. But you have seen how some people have been behaving and acting. Don't go to campaign in markets. A marketplace is for a different business altogether. It's not a campaign venue. Your campaign venue should be in a place which is devoid of other activities, human activities. People don't want to listen. It's very sad. If we love our country, we should, when you love something, you take steps to protect that thing. You preserve it and you seek to add value to it. That's love. Spouses know that. Husband must make sure his wife is always looking good, happy, contented. But when we go about destroying the environment, the wetlands, the forests, what value are we adding to our country? God, who created this country and other countries, whatever he did it on purpose and plan for our common good. When we destroy the environment and nature, we are impacting on the well-being of no other person but ourselves. When government makes deliberate, cautious efforts to put in place infrastructure we've been crying for all these years, a good road, power, and so on, but then someone comes and hacks or cuts the road signpost or the guardrails along the road, is that being a useful citizen to the country? When power lines, which take so much resources and efforts and time to erect or construct in order to extend power to various places of the country, then someone comes and hacks that stand or tower down because he's seeking to get money out of it. Is that love for the country? Are you promoting the common good in the country? So, ladies and gentlemen, the young people, the leaders in motion, take the forefront. Be at the forefront of influencing your fellow young people, preaching to them the gospel, the message of responsibility to their country, love for their country. Tell them Uganda can only be what we strive and work for it to be. If we strive and work for it to be progressive, to be stable, to be peaceful, we shall have those. But if we strive to make it unstable, promote violence, sectarianism, and destruction and mayhem, so it shall be. Garbage in, garbage out. Ugandans, we are reminded. Look at what is happening around us today. The countries around us, where the citizens of those countries, who were born in those countries, who had love for their countries, who were thriving in their country, working and thriving in their countries, they are forced to flee their countries and come to Uganda. Why? Because those countries are lacking what Uganda has, peace and stability. To the extent that now Uganda holds the second place in the whole world of hosting refugees, the highest number of refugees. I think they're about 1.9, almost 2 million refugees. Ask yourself, if, God forbid, our country takes that kind of trajectory, arising out of bad or elections that we have doused with blood, and this, where shall we run to when Uganda is on fire? Because all the possible running to places are not stable, and the citizens have left. So, as I conclude, the starting point is to rally every Ugandan of whatever position or level on the desire for or need for peace during elections. Peace is like a common village well where we all draw water from for our sustenance, irrespective of our religious beliefs, political leanings, status in society, tribal or cultural background. Secondly, all those involved in the electoral processes ought to make a cautious effort to avoid creating a scenario that sparks off or promotes violence. The promoters or perpetrators of violence ought to be firmly dealt with in accordance with the law. The young people must also rise up and say no to political corruption. The other day, some of them came to the commission and said, Chairman, this law that allows, that requires for one to, who wishes to contest for parliament to pay 3 million shillings as nomination fees, it is discriminatory. Does not favor the young people. That's a lot of money for young people. Maybe those who are not in employment or who have started work, just started working, they want to run for parliament. You will require us to pay 3 million. Why? He said, we are not the ones who make the law, it's parliament. It will be parliament to change that law. They have young people complaining. But if you are saying that for one to contest for parliament, you must start with at least 500 million, that puts us off. Why do we allow that? And we have said the use of money in elections is only confined to purposes of mobilizing the agents running around the constituency, the candidate meeting with his supporters and so on, meeting with his agents, but not to bribe voters. Bribing voters is a crime in our electoral laws and is prohibited. Now on Monday, the parliamentary candidates are beginning campaigns in their respective constituencies. And I want to take this opportunity to appeal, to caution, to warn all parliamentary candidates not to bribe voters. And let the younger people be the policemen of our elections. Record any incidences of bribing voters. Record them. Let the law, we have already talked to Uganda Police Force, and we have told them, for goodness sake, we must sanitize our elections. We are not going to New York, we are not going to where and say, please come and sanitize our elections. We are the ones to do it. We begin with these small efforts. Let's report those who are bribing voters. They are staining our democracy. They are discouraging people who have good leadership credentials and ideas and programs, who don't have the bags of money, not to engage in politics. That's wrong. We can't continue like this. So I want to appeal to you to be vanguards of clean, corruption-free elections in our country. In conclusion, dear Banyakigezi, be the generation that watches. Let your generation not be the generation that watches our democracy dim or go on the decline. Don't allow that. Because Article 1 has says, all power belongs to the people. And I have said, for as long as there's a country called Uganda, there will always be a constitution. And I don't want to imagine, God forbid, that we shall again have someone coming up and saying, I have abrogated or closed the constitution, put it under the table. Parliament is dissolved. No more elections. I am the one to make laws. I'm parliament, I'm executive, I'm everything. I believe that will never happen again, and let it never happen again. Therefore, for as long as there is an entity called Uganda, the people shall continue to express their will and consent on who should govern them through regular, free and fair elections. For that matter, the process of cleaning, ensuring our elections are indeed free and fair, starts now with you and me. As I said, our senior elders, our senior peers, they have done tremendous work. They have played their role. What is your role? They have put the blocks in place. They have built on the structure. What are you adding? Are you going to add or to subtract or to destroy? The other day I was telling the youth, I don't know where you see you, I told them, do you know, ladies and gentlemen, even an idiot can destroy. Destruction is the cheapest thing to do. You can bring down this whole structure with less than 2,000 shillings. All you need is a matchbox. You set it here. This carpet catches fire, and this wood. And if the fire is not arrested, down. For no 1,000, 2,000 shillings, the whole structure gone. But it will take tens of brains, hundreds of workforce, billions of shillings, and so many years to reconstruct and rebuild this structure. Destruction can be committed by even the greatest idiot. But construction requires brains, super brains, experience, and vast resources. Let us not be part of that enterprise that destroys, because we're expressing our position of disenchantment or disappointment. No. Destruction does not address your problem. It aggravates it. Let this generation be that rekindles democracy with integrity. One voice, one vote, and one act of courage at a time. And with your voice, your values, your energy, your youthfulness, your vision, you are the future of Uganda, East Africa, and Africa at large. This country is in powerful hands when we, the young people, resolve to be focused, be disciplined, and not allow ourselves to wallow in the pits of disappointment, despair, and hopelessness. When we are overly optimistic that yes, today we have this challenge, but ask your senior peers, did you ever have challenges in your time? Did you ever feel that this challenge could probably stifle your journey or your goal? How did you overcome? How did you go around it to be where you are and to do what you have done? Success is not measured in what you have achieved, but how you have been able to go over the challenges that have made you achieve what you have achieved. Challenges are good. They keep us on our toes. They keep us innovative. They keep us creative. They keep us thinking and focused and disciplined. And say, if I don't get disciplined and focused, I will not overcome this. So, let me do what I'm required to do in order to overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now for you to get involved now. You have what it takes to make this country better and better. Let us not allow the challenges of today, or what we see as failures, or what is drummed down our throats or down our minds as failures, as shortcomings, to define our destiny. But let these shortcomings and challenges be an opportunity for us to be more creative, more intentional, provided you're focused on that which is good for you and for your country. With these very few words, I want to thank you for listening to me, and I want to wish you a very happy, prosperous New Year 2026, a year full of your dreams, and a year come January 15th, where we shall go happily, freely to a polling station and cast our votes and determine who the next president will be, the next woman member of parliament will be, the next directly elected member of parliament will be, the next older person, the president of parliament. All these positions we are talking about are going to be determined in January, between January 15th and February 10th of 2026. But remember, Uganda shall always be Uganda, and its people shall always be its people. But the Uganda we want is entirely in our hands. What is your etofali to that Uganda? Thank you. God bless you. Bankaba Chiga. blunt and straight. Take it or leave it. But hi Yvonne, I waited for you, I didn't see you on nomination day. I'm told the story at signature, sorry about that. I think someone wanted to disenfranchise you. Now, I think I respect and agree with Yvonne's anger. That is it. The question is, this anger that the youth have, how should it be utilized? I think that's the critical question. How do we transform this anger and utilize it? Is it for destructive purposes or for progressive, constructive ideas and actions? I always equate the youth to the first phase of a river. When in my geography class, I remember, I don't know whether you still teach the same thing. A river has 3 stages. The youthful stage, the middle stage, then the old stage. The youthful stage, the river is full, the water is ferocious. You have waterfalls, you have cascades, and so on. That's why they tap those waterfalls and harness power from the waterfalls. So therefore, this anger, this energy, and the vibe the youth have should be harnessed into constructive processes. And indeed, I agree, Yvonne, that we need to address the critical issues that we as young people view as impinging on our opportunity to be active participants in the processes that define the democratic journey of our country. But the question is, how are we going to do it? Is it by daily demonstrations? We're expressing our disappointment, our disgust, our disapproval by going out on the streets, confronting security, banning anything in our way? No, that is not it. I think when the young people sit down as one critical voice and express their views and ideas, and they seek to hold those in leadership to account, the people in leadership will listen. But there is a saying that violence begets violence. When you want to pursue the violent path to express your views and your enchantment, then those in authority will not allow this to prevail, because you are going to destabilize the country. So coercive means will be applied to counter you. Have we tried, as Banyakigezi, as young people, to express our views in a civil manner of dialogue, discussion, and engagement? And those who have the decision-making authority have cast everything we have said under the carpet or under the table? My view, when I look at it, there's been a conscious effort to give the people, the young people of Uganda, a voice. That's why today, the government that came in 1986 made a deliberate, cautious effort to put in place leadership structures right from the ground by setting up LOC1 committees, by making the people sit in their respective village committees, deliberate on matters that concern them, and express whatever is of concern through the established channels. The young people are represented at every leadership structure, right from the village to the parish, to the sub-county, to the district, to the national level. But how are we utilizing these structures? I've told you the young people form what we call part of the special interest groups in our electoral cycle or calendar. They hold their own elections to elect their own leaders, right from the village up to the national level, to parliament. They have those structures. So you cannot tell me that the young people have been denied an opportunity. They have been denied a voice. No. Some of the young people we see now, either in the cabinet, or some of the people we see in the cabinet or parliament, they started off through these structures, youthful structures. They get elected into parliament. They end up in the cabinet, and so on and so forth. So in my own view, therefore, as a lawyer, I can say there is ample or sufficient evidence to demonstrate that an effort has been made by the powers that be to give the youth a voice, to give them an opportunity to present themselves for leadership. The question we should interrogate ourselves as young people: how have we utilized these opportunities? As someone said, the young people we elect, you have, how many positions you have in parliament? Young people? Aren't they 5? Ask. Since this process started, what have the people who have sent to parliament advanced as the cause for young people? Interrogate. Ask yourselves. Now, where peaceful elections happen in Uganda, and I think this one is connected with the question my brother up there asked. There are no peaceful elections in Uganda. The concept of a free and fair election as defined by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not say free and fair elections start with the activity of nominations. Incidentally, since I've been given the time, the whole electoral cycle starts from the ground, with the Electoral Commission going to talk to the people to find out, since 2021, has there been a new village, a new parish, a new sub-county created in your area? Because according to our law, the elective positions for the secret ballot start at councillor level. A councillor representing this sub-county, a sub-county which is comprised of parishes. So every sub-county must have a youth councillor, a male councillor, a female councillor, and so on and so forth. By the way, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the Ugandan democratic electoral processes, we are the most democratic because we have given every, let me tell you, we have given every category of individuals an opportunity to be represented. Persons with disabilities, they have their own representation. Even in the village committee, parish committee, persons with disabilities are represented. Sub-county, district, national, parliament. Older persons, they have their own slots also at village and so on. The youth, you do. Even workers. We have been hearing now petitions, as Julia said. Hundreds. We left tonight, we left at 11 p.m., the boardroom. Listen to petitions, those who got nominated, those who are denied the opportunity to get nominated, and they think they should have been nominated. They petition the commission. Please allow me on the ballot paper. Your returning officer refused to nominate me for wrong reasons. And we sit as a court. The law says we sit as a quasi judicial body to listen to this. They have been coming with lawyers, senior lawyers, to argue their cases. All manner of people, not only parliament or district chairpersons, councillors. The other day, we had some old women, not very old, but ordinary, what we call peasant women, not in a derogatory manner, peasant women from Kwen. Many of us have never been there even. They came, 4 of them. One was challenging the candidature of the other for councillor to the district. Councillor. Grounds, reasons, this one already has a job. The law says before you you seek nomination for leadership, you must. This one is on a school board. She's earning some money already. Why does she want also to go for this over councillor? That should be for me. Look at my hands. I only dig. She wants to have 2 jobs. One of school board, one of councillor. No, she should have resigned. That's how animated people are about whether it is for real leadership reasons or, as my brother said, for something else. I don't know. But the point I'm making is this. This country, the system we have now, has given every group of individuals an opportunity to be represented at leadership level. But we should ask these groups, what have you benefited us from the time we said you go and represent us? You, 5 years down the road, you are representing the youth or older persons or persons with disabilities. Can you give us your we want to see your accountability in terms of service and representation of the issues that concern us. What have you done? So, in my view, Yvonne, this country is democratic. The question, how do we exercise this democracy? How do we carry out the processes that ensure that this democracy is realized? It's real and productive. That's a different matter. When we have identified the electoral areas which need political representation or leadership, then we go to identify the polling stations. Where will the voters in this area vote from? That is part and parcel of a free and fair election. We don't sit in our boardrooms on 7th Street and say, now in Wamuchuchu sub-county, the polling station will be here or there. Our people must go to the ground, interface with the people who are going to vote from those areas and say, the suitable location is this one. The registration of voters, those who are first-time voters, is part and parcel of a free and fair election. Are the people well informed? Are they well sensitized that this is the time for them to register as voters? We carried out massive publicity and sensitization that all those Gen Zs who never voted in 2021, you are now 18, please come and register. The law also allows you to change your voting location. It is permitted in the law. If you vote, in 21, you voted from Kampala. In 26, you want to vote from your home district, in Ichigezi sub-region. You are at liberty to transfer your voting location, provided where you want to vote from now as your new polling station is within the parish of your residence or origin. The fact that I'm a Munyoro does not mean I can go to any polling station in Munyoro and say, since I'm a Munyoro, I want to vote from here. No. Are you resident in this parish? Or do you originate from this parish? That is the criteria. We gave that opportunity. That is also another tenet of a free and fair election. So therefore, and we have said, the main reason I brought out this description or interpretation of free and fair election by the Supreme Court is to point out the various tenets that constitute a free and fair election, where and to identify who are the actors. When we talk of campaigns, who are the actors for campaigns? When we talk of nominations, who are the actors for nominations? When we talk of no bribery or use of money to influence voters, who are the actors who perpetuate bribery? When we talk of no violence and intimidation, who is responsible for creating an environment of intimidation? People tend to focus on security. But do you know even we non-armed people intimidate others? Do you know that? When you use language threatening people, we know you like this person. You shall see. We are going to see. After the elections, you will see. The other day, someone told me she has a saloon somewhere where she's employing Bambi, these foreigners who are seeking refuge in Uganda. Say the foreigners have started expressing fear. Why? There are some people have told them, you people, when this election is over, you will see, you will see, you will see. That is intimidation. When you go and start mobilizing people, instilling in them a fire of defiance, the moment this one is done, you better start and invade these areas. Come out in thousands of numbers. We must show them we are here. That is intimidation. And that's why the law creates it an offense for anyone to intimidate any voter. It's an offense. Who are the perpetrators of intimidation? Is it our cows and goats and chicken in our homes? See, we the people. So that's why we say, if Ugandans want a free and fair election, peaceful, devoid of corruption, devoid of violence, devoid of intimidation, let every player, every actor who has a role to play, act within the law, period. And we shall have a very peaceful elections. We have been having very peaceful presidential campaigns. Even the presidential candidates themselves, so many have said, oh, this is really, this is very good. Yeah, we have not had this kind of thing before. Until I'm told yesterday, unfortunately, I was in the boardroom from 10:30 a.m. until 11 p.m. listening to petitions of people who are petitioning those who have. So I didn't watch the news. The time I got home at midnight, well, the news was over until I switched on my phone, and then so there was a disruption or some disturbance in Mbarara. But all these things are uncalled for, ladies and gentlemen. I can stand here on my 2 feet and say all those things could have been avoided. We have said time and again, please, candidates, this is the law. The law says the Electoral Commission may determine the manner and the time for campaigns by candidates. We have the power under the law. We lay out the guidelines premised on the law. The law says you shall hold your campaigns between 7 to 6 p.m. It is in the law. But you have seen candidates campaigning beyond 6 o'clock in the dark. Are you going to say the Electoral Commission is a failing? You want to be a leader. And I thought one of the hallmarks of leadership is obedience to the law. But if you're a leader, you don't want to obey the law, how about your subjects? What cue are you giving them? We said no processions along public roads, for goodness sake. We have cautioned many. We have held 2 meetings with the security people and the agents of presidential candidates to review and assess how the process is going on. And we have pointed out, said, please, look at this one. Look at this one. This is contrary to the law. Avoid it. You don't have to go waving to all the banana tree because you're a presidential candidate. You go to the designated venue and address the people. Find them there. The police, I've been in constant touch with the police. Say, Chairman, look at this. Let me engage. We don't want to create a trajectory which puts our country in bad image, that we are not able to have peaceful elections. Been engaging with the presidential candidates through their agents. Say, please tell your candidate when he did this, it was wrong. It was against the law. We have been engaging dialogue. But either some people are genetically unruly, they want to create a macho image about themselves, of not being, or they are allergic to complying with the law, good sense, good conduct. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But what happened yesterday could have been avoided. They were going to engage with every actor, every player. Say, how do we avoid this? Maybe some people, that's what they want to see. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what some people want to see. But for us who love this country, who know that the country we can live in happily is Uganda, we must do everything possible to ensure we avoid some of these episodes. So to me, we can only have peaceful elections when every actor is involved. You look at what happened in Kawempe North, for instance. The Electoral Commission organized the elections. We delivered all materials in time. Every voter knew where he or she was going to vote from. We deployed and delivered the materials. Voting took place. For those who wanted to vote, they came and voted. But towards the end, when counting had started, some people, so ill-mannered people, came and invaded some polling stations and destroyed the results and everything. So the results from these polling stations could not be submitted to the tally center because they were not there. The Electoral Commission went ahead and declared the results from the polling stations which results could be availed. Someone went to court and said the 16 polling stations, 14 or 16, where results were not declared, showed that the Electoral Commission did not conduct the election in accordance with the law. Why? Because the results from these polling stations were not declared. So it failed in its duty. Banana. So the court agreed with her. Said we cancel the election. Repeat it. Who was responsible? If it had not happened, maybe the court would not have annulled. What value did it add to that electoral process? What value? Nothing. If anything, it is sought to devalue the process. So, I want to encourage you, we can have peaceful elections in our country, provided you play an intentional role of ensuring there is peace. You can have. Yes, I share your anger, Yvonne. How can we have a democracy that is on auction? Billions and millions of shillings being spent in an election. That's democracy on auction, period. How can we have that? The young people who do not have access to such billions, what is their fate in the electoral process as candidates, as leaders? That's why we must say no. When we stand out and speak against, that's why I say, if you identify somebody doing it, please let us initiate the legal process. It is an offense under the laws to bribe a voter. It's an offense. Irrespective of how much money you give, whether it is 1,000 shillings, 2,000 shillings, it's an offense. And if that person is convicted, the penalty is either 3 years imprisonment or a fine of 1.4 million shillings. Really, I would love to see someone who gives out 2,000 shillings to a voter being arrested and charged and prosecuted, convicted and fined for 1.4 million. You gave out 2 million, you are fined 1.4 million. That would be deterrence. But for as long as we don't create deterrence, these things even now, they produce grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Whereas people used to use 200 million, now it has 500, 1 billion. No deterrence, no deterrence. You can start the process of deterrence and kick out corruption from our elections. We are not saying young people are violent. This is not what I meant. In fact, I said young people are victims of manipulation. Young people have dreams. They have dreams. They have visions. But because of the current environment they are in, the circumstances they are in, some people want to exploit those circumstances, the negative circumstances the young people are in, and say, because you are like this, you can do this. That's wrong. They are not violent. We have all been young people. Nobody was born an elder. Dr. Rugunda was not born as he is, or professor. No, even me. Yes, mindset change is critical. Now, questions. My brother, I didn't get his name. I want to assure you, Article 1 of the Constitution is inviolable, is sacrosanct. It says what it does, and it means what it says, and that is it. But like any law in the statute books, a law only becomes a reality, becomes beneficial when we apply it. When we all strive to apply the law, that's when it is beneficial to us. So Article 1 is not, you cannot give any other interpretation to Article 1. But the processes that actualize Article 1 is what we should be looking at. You are saying Uganda has never, by the way, let me question you, my younger brother, and everyone who is in this room. A free and fair election is not synonymous with a perfect election. Those are two distinct things. A free and fair election does not mean a perfect election. There is no such a thing as a perfect election in the world. It's not there. Which country? Tell me. When you talk of perfections, perfection this, my understanding is only heaven where there are perfections. But on this planet Earth, you are going to be encountering imperfections and challenges and so on. Heaven, yes. Here on earth, forget it. So a free and fair election is not a perfect election. And that's why the courts have said, it's not every irregularity, it's not every shortcoming, it's not every shortfall in an election that will render the outcome null and void. The question is, how substantial were these irregularities to the entire process? The substantiality test. That's what the courts, that's what the law said. The substantiality test. If you are going to say, for every wrong, every omission, every irregularity, the election is null and void, you will never have an election in any part of the world. The other day, even the famous America, I think Trump was complaining, they stole my election, they stole my election. When the people went and invaded, invaded what? Their parliament, what do you call it? A Capitol Hill. Can you imagine the mighty United States of America? Where all of us want to go and live? The land of dreams. Wherever there are human enterprises and human activities, you expect the imperfections to arise, because no human being is perfect. Not there. But I'm not saying we should gloss over these shortcomings. How do we address them? And that's why the law keeps on making improvements. How do we improve on this? And that's why we cherish these engagements. You, what is your role? What can you do to ensure we get rid of this? So, in my view, one, the people who picked nomination forms, including my sister Yvonne, they have over 200, not 100, 200. That you see, picking the forms was the easiest part. Easy. Because we are not charging any money for these forms. All you needed was put some fuel in your vehicle, drive to the 7th Street. We give you the form free of charge. They'll come on a board of 2,000 shillings. You pick the form free of charge. The law says you must get 100 supporters from every district constituting 98 districts of the country. That's where the people met the greatest hurdle. And mind you, you must get the support, the names and signatures of supporters. But some people would sit somewhere. Maybe they have a record of our voters. He starts producing. Some of the lists we were looking at. Someone writes a list of supporters. Akugizibwe, Amanyire, Ainabiona, Ankunda, in alphabetical order. You want to tell me in the area you went, you only got supporters whose names are following one another in alphabetical order? Alphabetical order. Then you come to B. You come to C. Alphabetical order. You know what happened? Many of these people were not consulted to support these aspirants. They were just putting their name. Then when you look at the signatures, someone just sits. You just see, even though I'm not a handwriting expert, you just see someone who sat down here, Ankunda, then another one, NK, then the same hand just producing signatures. Same hand. You submit your names, we verify. Every name on that list we're verifying. One, is that person a registered voter in that district? Some of them were mixing up voters. You find a voter in Impigi, be put on the list of Mukono. And for us, once we find this person, although a voter, but is in Mukono, we cancel. They have not fulfilled the quota. So, it is not that it was deliberate denial of people to come for nomination. Campaign trail is not free and fair. Why? After the candidates have been nominated, the law says before they hit the campaign trail, they shall settle down before the returning officer, agree on their campaign schedule so that you don't collide in one area. They agree. The guidelines governing campaigns are the same for everybody, including the incumbent when he's a candidate. He's subject to those guidelines. The only difference for him is the law permits him to maintain, to utilize the facilities of his office, although he's a candidate. That is in the law. Why? In the law, we say what was the spirit behind this provision. A country must remain with leadership even when you have elections. You must have a leader even when we have elections. I've not seen of any country which says, now that we are going to elections, incumbent, you're also coming. You are no longer president. You are like the rest of us. And mind you, the term of that leader expires on 12th of May, 2026. So even throughout the election season, he's president. That's why the law says, for you, because you have to continue executing the duties and functions of the state as a leader, maintain the services or the facilities. But for every other people, it is the same. We treat them the same on equal basis. Now, if someone says, if you're noob here, you'll be in trouble. The other day, as I said, we're here listening to these petitions in the commission. All sorts of people from all sorts of political parties. Say, I think some young men, I think they had that foot soldier kind of mantle around them. Came with red beret. Came with a t-shirt emblazoned with a picture of the principal. We expected him. We welcomed him in the boardroom. Have a seat, sir. What's the problem? This. When you nominated people like this, our candidate was denied the opportunity. Very good. Anything else? Yes. After I said, hey, Chairman, can we have a group photo with you? I said, oh, wow, good, well, come. But I said, but won't the principal be annoyed with you? Take a photograph with the chairman? Say, Tewali Mutawana. But the point I'm making is, look, the people are free to express themselves constitution. So even if you are NUP or DP or whatever, because what you subscribe to is constitutional, you won't be faulted. But, let me make this, but, the fact that you subscribe to this party or the other one does not give you a free license to break or to act outside the law. If you act contrary to the law enforcement is obliged to deal with you and put you to order. That is a given. The fact that I am a candidate does not place me above the law. I'm below the law. I'm under the law. Therefore, even when you are so hot, your blood is so hottened about your party, you don't want to see anybody standing in the face of your party. You don't. Please abide by the law. Period. So, brother, if you have our red beret, you're free to when the opportunities are there. But are you positioning yourself strategically? Are you strategic in your quest for leadership? Or are you just branding yourself like a Samsung? The fact that you are youth does not mean that people just say you are youth. Come and take up this. You must distinguish yourself with distinction. You must show the credentials. You must be strategic. You must be focused. You must show positivity. You must show leadership. Start from the lowest ranks and then you climb up. So I don't subscribe to the notion, Emily, that the young people are not given a chance to lead. No, that is not true. It is the young people making people spend money on you. I don't know, but I don't know where Tugume you got that from. But I think some candidates have told me when we talk to them, we say, Chairman, you don't know what you're talking about. When you go to address a rally, as the first people listen to you for 5 minutes, after that they start signaling, we are thirsty. We want something to drink. If you don't give money, your opponent will give money. Then you're finished. So what do you want us to do? The other day, by the way, we said no more fundraisings in the churches, in the mosques, in the communities. Now, campaign season, no more fundraising. Some of these aspirants came and whispered to me, Chairman, watu yamba, echo nichitukorera, ako katukole, mana tubade tufa, netu tusola kubyogerako. But can you give out more of those messages against using money? Against using money. They also suffer in silence. But they cannot come out. You come out, tell people, they will say, okay, for you think you are going to speak to us only. Okay, we wait. That's why the law said, if you look at that law, it's not only the giver who is liable for prosecution, but even the receiver. The giver of the bribe and the receiver have the same offense called bribery. So for me, I'm very positive that one, we can have and we hold free and fair elections in the context of the input of every actor, every player. We can have peaceful elections. We don't need to douse about paper in the blood of Ugandans in order for us to say our elections were very good. So many people died and so many people's limbs were broken. We don't need that. So, as a commission, we are determined to ensure, working with every Ugandan at every level, we have peaceful, free and fair elections. What you put in is what you get out. Any other round of questions? Or they are over? From the peddlers and hawkers of doom and gloom, some of our actors, every time they talk, it's about the bad and the ugly. It's about hopelessness. It's about portraying an illustration of you have lost it all. And therefore, you have nothing to lose when you engage in this. If anything, you are exacting revenge for those who have brought about the situation you are in. That is counterproductive, basically. Some of us have seen what instability can be in our country. The other day I was telling this,
ayo yitamu Because